Hello, and a warm welcome to our show, Love Athletics. In this program, we bring you the latest highlights from our sport with expert input from different continental areas. And we're delighted to have with us today Ethiopian journalist Bizuayehu Wagaw. Hello, Bizuayehu. Lovely to see you, and a big thank you for joining us.
Hello, Anna. Hello, Love Athletics audiences. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So before we focus on the athletics news of the last fortnight, including Berlin Marathon and the World Road Running Championships, let's start by learning more about our guests. So Bizuayehu, I always like to know how our guests fell in love with the sport. So tell us, what motivated you to get involved in athletics and start a career as a sports journalist? And were there any athletes in particular who inspired you?
Okay. Actually, the passion for sports is something that has grown with me since childhood. Playing soccer and running for fitness, watching both sports are still among my main hobbies. My childhood dream was to become a professional footballer, but that didn't happen. So the other option to get closer to the things I am passionate about was to be a sports journalist. And luckily, I managed to succeed in building a career and to have my hobbies as my job. Also, I grew up watching the great success achieved by Ethiopian athletes in major international competitions. So that has its own impact for me to focus more on athletics journalism. I used to watch the likes of Derartu Tulu, Haile, Kananisa, Meseret Tirunesh, and many more others achieving big successes at the Olympic Games and World Championships. So I can say that have influence for me to focus on athletics.
Derartu in 92 was Olympics, was indeed something very, very special.
Yes, that was my first big stage championship I watched on TV. And
Haile versus Paul Tergat, that was also amazing.
The Sydney 2000 was the biggest thing. And after I started my career, it was my first championship was African Championship in Addis Ababa, the 16th African Athletics Championship. And since then, I used to attend a lot of events, and there were lots of many good memories.
And tell us, what were your 3 favorite athletics moments in the course of all these years?
There are many before and after my athletics reporting career started. But when I think of moments in the course of my career, I can say these 3 always crosses my mind. The first one is the 70th African Athletics Championship in Nairobi. It was a victory by Tirunesh Dibaba in Nairobi. The 2 years before that championship, the Kenyans came to Addis and they took 5 gold medals at the African Championship hosted in Addis Ababa. And the Ethiopian team went to Nairobi with a hope to do the same thing. But on the first 3 days, Ethiopia didn't win any gold, and Tirunesh arrived 2 days before that 10,000 meter final, and I had the opportunity to speak to her before the race and asked her if she's going to win. And she was 100% confident that she's going to win the race, and then she did it. So it was the only gold medal Ethiopia won on that championship, and that is one of my good memories because it is a gold medal we won at the host country, which is a close rival of Ethiopia. And the other one is the 2015 World Championship Women's 5,000 meter medal sweep. That's the only medal sweep I witnessed in person, so it also gives me a good memory. And the third one is the recent victory in Tokyo, Japan, the 10,000 meter men's Olympic gold victory by Solomon Barega. We used to enjoy the 10,000 meter victories at the Olympics during Haile and Gananisa era. We won 4 consecutive Olympic gold medals, and then after that, it was difficult for Ethiopians to win the 10,000 meter gold. So it came after 13 years in Tokyo. So that was the third, good memories.
Thank you, Bizuayehu. So that made it even more special.
Yeah, it was a good one, and it was also a win for Solomon against the strong competitors from Uganda.
Exactly.
Jacob Kiplimo and Cheptegei.
Thank you. So we'll come back to learn more about our guest, but look at what's been happening over the past fortnight in our sport, and that was mostly road races. 24 September, fantastic Berlin Marathon, the first of the World Marathon Majors of the 23-24 season, and fabulous competitions with a world record in the women's race by last year's surprise winner Tigst Assefa, who created another shock, clocking 2 hours 11:53 to shatter the previous mark of 2:14:04 set by Kenya's Bridget Kosgei in 2019, a huge improvement of over 2 minutes. And what makes it even more extraordinary is that Tigst was running only her third marathon, having moved up from the 800. She ran in her first marathon 2 hours 34:01 in her debut in Riyadh in March last year. Then she was the unexpected winner in Berlin 6 months later, clocking 2:15:37, which was then the 5th best mark in history. And this year, she shot to the top of the all-time lists. Her 2 hours 11:53 is better than what was then the men's world record of 2:12:11 set by the legendary Abebe Bikila in his second Olympic triumph in Tokyo 1964. So women have come a long way. Assefa produced a negative split, 66-20 in the first half, 65-33 in the second, while the other competitors faded badly in the second half. And the podium was completed by Kenya's Sheila Chepkirui, 2:17:49, and Tanzania's Magdalena Shauri, 2:18:41. Bizuayehu, can you tell us more about Tigst Assefa?
I know Tigst since when she was running as a middle distance runner, and she was progressing well. Even she was able to represent Ethiopia at the 2016 Rio Olympic, but she was also struggling with Achilles problem since 2014, and I think that thing was the reason for her to abandon track running after Rio Olympic and then move to the road races. But the injury was still there, and it was bothering her for long. And at some point, she was even told by medical people that she have no hope to get back to running again. But her remarkable back into competition shows how she is resilient in the face of extreme challenges. And then since she moved to road races, she was doing well, especially after her recovery. And she started delivering results, and her back-to-back success in the Berlin Marathon was really amazing. And finally, she was able to break the world record. And I think it is a big surprise, especially the time she clocked.
Yes, it is fantastic. And she becomes the first Ethiopian woman to ever hold the women's marathon record. So what was the reaction back in Addis to her achievement?
Yeah, it was like a big joy for all Ethiopians. And when Tigist and her coach arrived back to Ethiopia on September 29 morning, there was a big welcoming ceremony, and the Ethiopian Athletics Federation President Derartu Tulu, the Ministry of Culture and Sports representative, and leaders of her club and her families and close friends were present at the airport to give her a warm welcome. Even her training partners attended the welcome reception wearing a special T-shirt with Tigist's photo and her world record time. And among those athletes were women's marathon world champion Amane Beriso, Tamrat Tola, Guya Dola, and Sisai Lama, and many others.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, among the men, Kenya's Eliud Kipchoge won his fifth Berlin Marathon with 2 hours 02:42, the 8th fastest time in history and Eliud's 5th fastest. Kipchoge thus broke the tie he had with Ethiopia's Haile Gebrselassie, who had also won 4 times in Berlin. The men's podium was completed by 2 debutants, Kenya's Vincent Kemoi, 2 hours 03:13, and Ethiopia's Tadesse Tekele, 2:03:24. And that's another interesting trend of the last couple of years. Now, Eliud had an interesting comment on the women's race, saying, Asefa has shown the way, and I trust the rest of the women will change their mentality in thinking that 2 hours 11 is fast. And indeed, marathon running has undergone a huge change in the last couple of years. We were talking about this last April with John Galls of Let'sRun.com about the unprecedented evolution of the discipline in the last 2 years, especially among the women. Now, while part of the surge in performance is certainly due to super shoes, I'm convinced that a change in women's mentality is also a key factor. What do you think, Bizuayehu?
I agree with what you said, Anna. After Tigist Berlin Marathon world record performance, our coach Gamadu said, women are very strong and more committed. I also believe that they work hard and their high commitment is a key to their current extraordinary success.
Definitely. So I think we'll see a lot more interesting times in the next months and couple years.
Yeah, and I think this victory of Tigist is going to change the mindset of other athletes too, and we might see something soon again.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Now, among all the good results in Berlin, there was also an area record by Colombia's Angie Orjuela, who finished in 16th spot with 2 hours 25:35 to destroy her own national record and improve the continental mark, which had been set last year by Peru's Gladys Tejeda by 22 seconds. The 34-year-old Colombian has had a very consistent season, placing third at both the Central American Caribbean Games in El Salvador at the beginning of July and in the Bogota Half Marathon at the end of the month, before her feat in the German capital, where she also met the qualifying standard for her 3rd Olympic Games. So let's look now at what happened at the World Road Running Championships held in Riga on the 1st of October. A week after Berlin, a number of top athletes gathered for the expanded event, which included races over 5 kilometers and the road mile, in addition to the classic half marathon distance. Now, inaugural road mile world records had been ratified by World Athletics just a week before the competition and belonged to US athletes, Nikki Hills with 4:27.97 and Sam Prakel with 4:01.21. But these were not the best marks in history, as 5 women had run faster than Hills and over 60 men had run faster than Prakel. So there were high expectations for Faith Kipyegon, who was tipped to add another world record to her collection, but this was not to be, as the Kenyan was overtaken in the final stages by her Ethiopian rivals to register her first defeat of 2023. Diribe Welteji powered through the finish line to achieve a commanding victory in 4:20.98 to set a new world record, destroying the recently ratified mark by 7 seconds. Behind her, compatriot Frewenyi Hailu and Kipyegon, respectively finishing in 4:23.06 and 4:23.13, were also well under the previous official best, moving respectively to number 3 and 4 in the all-time lists. Now, Bizuayehu. Diribe was second over 1,500 behind Kipyegon at the Diamond League in Doha, at the World Championships in Budapest, and at the Diamond League finals. But in Riga, she finally found a way to prevail.
Yes, Diribe is an athlete progressing well. She has a good success at the Under-20 Continental and World Championships. And now she started writing her success history at the senior level. Her fourth place finish at the 2022 World Championship with her personal pace 1:57.02. The 800 meter was the highest success in Ethiopian women's participation at the World Championship. So her silver medal victory in Budapest was also considered like we won gold, because it was not expected that she can beat Faith Kipyegon at the World Championship. And it was the same expectation for me personally at the Riga World Championship, but then in Riga, she has done the unexpected thing, and she beat Kipyegon and got the world record, and she was able to register her first senior title. So I really expect her to do something better in the coming years. She's a quiet and very focused athlete. So currently she's doing well.
That's great. Now, Bizuayehu, several athletes were commenting after the race how running a road mile is different from running the same distance on the track. What do you think?
I think it is not the same. The track is completely level, and the road might not be flat all the way. Also, the type of shoe the athletes use to run on the road and the track are different. So the road mile could be a bit more challenging. And in terms of running style also, I think I see some athletes having a challenge during the running, on the road running.
Yes, indeed. Now, the men's road mile race was not as high quality as the women. It ended with a large group remaining together for most of the race, and 5 athletes finished within 1 second. 20-year-old American Hobbs Kessler was the first in 3:56.13, which technically is also a world record, but as the mark is worth only 1,123 points on the scoring tables, and 6 athletes in history have run faster, we don't think it appropriate to produce a world record screen for this event. So let's move now to the 5 kilometers road race, where Ethiopia's Hagos Gebrehiwot finally won his first global title after 3 medals between 2013 and 2016 at the Olympic Games and World Championships. He led an Ethiopian 1-2, prevailing in 12:59 to 13:02 over Yomif Kejelcha, who in Lille in March had set the best mark of the year and the number 2 of all time over the distance. Kenya's Nicholas Kipkorir was third in 13:16, and 18-year-old Eritrean Dawit Seare in only the second recorded race outside his native country after the World Under-20 Championships in Nairobi in 2021, was an excellent fourth in 13:21, just 5 seconds behind Korir. Now, Bizuayehu, Hagos has had a few difficult seasons, but he returned to top shape this year. He ran very well on the 5,000 meters on track in Monaco Diamond League, and then this title in Riga. Tell us more about Hagos's comeback.
Yeah, Hagos was struggling with injury for 3 years, and he came back into competitions at the beginning of this year. He did 2 half marathons in February and March, and he get back to the track races around June before the World Championship. Even he managed to qualify for World Championship after the National Federation closed the qualifying period, but he was doing well in the Diamond League races. And after the Budapest 5,000 meter final, I spoke with him, and he said he was happy with what he achieved throughout this year, and his focus after this will be on the road races. So in Riga, finally he managed to deliver his first senior global title. So that's a good start for him. He achieved this success also on the road because he's planning to move to road races. So yeah, after struggling with injury on his comeback, this year was a good year for him.
Definitely. And Bizuayehu, do you know anything about Dawit Seare?
Not really. I only see him. He mostly compete in local competitions, and we don't have the chance to access those competitions. So as you said, I only have the same information that he participated at the World Junior Championship in Nairobi, and it was his second global race in Riga. I saw him on TV.
Well, I hope he takes part in more competitions so we get to know more about him, because that was a very good result.
So. Yeah, I hope so.
So in the women's 5 kilometers race, Kenya's Beatrice Chebet finished the season as she had started it, with a gold in a major competition, winning in Riga as she had at the World Cross in Bathurst in March. Chebet produced a decisive sprint in the last kilometer to close in 14:35, ahead of compatriot Lilian Rengerut, 14:39, and Ethiopia's Ejgayu Taye, who had recorded the best mark of all time 2 years ago in Barcelona, who placed third in 14:40. Now, the half marathons, on the other hand, were both dominated by Kenya, who filled all podium positions in both races. In the men's race, Sebastian Kimaro Sawe had moved to the front at 15 kilometers, but there was still a large pack of 13 athletes within 2 seconds. At 20 kilometers, Budapest 10,000 meter silver medalist Daniel Simiyu Ebenyu was pushing hard and had opened a small gap over his competitors. But with 200 to go, Sawe closed in on him, surging ahead with some 80 meters to the finish line to win in 59:10, as Ebenyu defended his silver in 59:14 from Samuel Nyamai Mailu, 59:19, who was representing Kenya for the first time. So this win was the best career result for Sawe, who had started the year with a good 8th place at the World Cross in March. In the women's race, Olympic champion Perez Jepchirchir, who had then been in number 5 position, placed a decisive attack at 20 kilometers and sprinted past Margaret Kipkemboi in the last 20 meters, prevailing in a close finish 67.25 to 67.26, with Catherine Relin Amanangole completing the podium in 67.34. It was the Tokyo Olympic champions' third half-marathon title after 2016 and 2020. Now, the full podium sweeps allowed Kenya to dominate the medal table, as team medals were also awarded for the half marathon, both obviously going to Kenya, who finished with 5 golds and a total of 12 medals. Ethiopia had 2 golds and 7 medals. US, the win in the men's mile. Britain had 2 good placings, and South Africa had a third in the men's marathon. Now, Bizuayehu, Ethiopian athletes have achieved great results in middle and long distances, but the half and full marathon are still mainly dominated by Kenyans, even with unexpected athletes winning major races.
That's true. In the men's marathon, Ethiopia was dominant in the 1960s. At the Olympic Games, Abe Bikila won twice and Mamo Wolde won 1 gold. So, but after that, to get an Olympic marathon gold, it took us very long, and it came at the Sydney 2000 by Gezahi Nyabera. And the same thing at the World Athletic Championship, we were struggling to get medals, but we started delivering medals since Berlin 2009, but not the gold one. So compared to other times, like we can say recently we are seeing a good progress, because Ethiopia won the 2019 and 2022 men's marathon at the World Championship, and the past 2 editions in the women's marathon. So now I can say it's improving in the marathon, but in the half marathon, yes, still we are struggling. I guess we lack athletes who specialize in the half marathon distance.
Thank you, Bizuayehu. Now, before we close the chapter on the World Road Running Championships in Riga, we need to speak about an extraordinary athlete, Rosa Mota. The Portuguese was the 1988 Olympic champion and the 1987 world champion, and a triple European champion between 1982 and 1990, when the competition was still held every 4 years. In Riga, she completed the half marathon maths race, finishing 13th in 1:26:06 to destroy the Masters world record for the 65 to 69 age category, taking 6 seconds and a half 50 off the previous mark and averaging 4 minutes 04 per kilometer. Amazing, Rosa Mota. Now, to conclude the out-of-stadium overview, let's look at the South American Mountain and Trail Championships, which took place in Colombia, in the city of Tunja in the Boyacá region. Races included the classic up and downhill mountain running events on day 1, held over 16 kilometers for seniors and 8 kilometers for under 20 athletes, and a 42-kilometer trail competition on the Sunday. Athletes from Colombia won 5 out of 6 races, with the only gold medal not going to the host country, conquered by Bolivia's Brian Choque, with a clear win in the classic under 20 men's race. Other golds went to Laura Rojas in the classic under 20 women's race, and she dominated by 2 minutes 20. The senior events were much closer, especially the men, where Jonathan Castillo won by only 2 seconds. In the women's race, Ginari Camargo was a winner by 12 seconds. The following day in the trail, Said Lopez among the men won a relatively close race by 23 seconds, while Lady Hormanza, whom we see here encouraged by the local farmers on her way to a resounding victory, dominated the event, winning by 5 minutes and 40 seconds. And Colombia logically dominated the medal table with 5 golds and a total of 8 medals. Bolivia, as we saw, had 1 gold. Argentina, 3 good placings in silver. And Ecuador also had several minor placings. Now, several stadium events were also held in the past fortnight. Also on 23-24 December, the Decastar, the last World Athletics Combined Events Tour Gold meeting, took place in Talence near Bordeaux in France. Home athlete Maquesson Gletti triumphed among the men, setting PBs in 4 events to total 8,443 points. Sadly, just 17 points below the Olympic qualifying standard of 84.60. He placed well ahead of Germany's Manuel Eitel with 8,193 points, and Grenada's Budapest bronze medalist Victor Linden with 7,980 points. In the pentathlon, the Netherlands Tokyo Olympic bronze medalist Emma Oosterwegel defended her 2020 title, winning with 6,459 points, ahead of Switzerland Annick Kaelin with 6,390, and the USA's Talia Brooks with 6,181 points. And the win in Talence allowed Oosterwegel, who had placed 3rd in Ratingen and 5th in Budapest, to win the combined events tour. Among the men, Ethiopia's Karel Tiga, sorry, Bizuayehu, I'm giving you a title. Among the men, Estonia's Karel Tiga, who was not in Talence, won the overall standings after a win in Desenzano and 4th places in both Götzis and Budapest. Now, the Asian Games have been taking place in Hangzhou, China, between 29 September and 5 October, but we will review this competition in the next program. So it's time now to go back to the global overview of our sport and look at the world leads. There were several set in the past fortnight, all from road races, including 3 world records in Riga, including 3 world records. So among the men, we saw on the road mile, Hobbs Kessler set a world record. Among the women, Diribe Welteji also set a world record in Riga. And on the 5 kilometers road race, Beatrice Chebet equaled the world lead. And of course, the best result of all in the marathon, 2 hours 18:53 for Tigist Assefa at the Berlin Marathon with a fabulous world record. However, as not all world leads are top-level marks, we will also continue to check the best results of the past 2 weeks, starting with the men's events. Now, as athletics activity is limited, we will, however, lower the bar respect to the past weeks including, with a couple of exceptions, mark worth over 1,200 points, except for the marathon. So let's look at top marks among the men. So as we saw on the 5 kilometers road race, Hagos Gebrehiu at 12:59, that is the second mark of the year, and Yomif Kejelcha. And Hagos moves into number 5 in the all-time list with that performance. Over the marathon, Eliud Kipchoge achieved the second best performance of the year in Berlin with 2:02:42. Very good marks also by Vincent Kipkemoin-Getich and Tadesse Tekele, also who are in the top 4 of the year. Ronald Kipkorir Hafteklu, Andualem Belay Shifero, Amos Kipruto, and Philemon Kiplimo all went under 2 hours 05. So, and as did Germany's Amal Petros, who set a national record of 2:04:58. And another national record was set in Berlin by Switzerland Tadesse Abraham with 2 hours 05:10. And Abraham is a former refugee from Eritrea who settled and was naturalized in Switzerland. There were also interesting marks from Hangzhou from the Asian Games. In the 400-meter hurdles, Abderrahman Samba El Salek returned to top form after struggling with injuries, running in 48:04. In the high jump, Mutaz Barshim again at the top, clearing 2 meters 35. Very good pole vault for Ernest John Obiena with 5 meters 90. And in the javelin, Neeraj Chopra set his seasonal best with 80 meters 88. Let's check now the best women's marks of the last 2 weeks. So again, a lot come from Riga. In the road mile, we mentioned the world record by Diribe Welteji, but also very good marks relatively for Frewenyi Hailu and Faith Kipyegon, because of course the event is quite recent, but Diribe world record, Frewenyi Hailu moves to number 3, and Faith Kipyegon moves to number 4 in the all-time list. In the 5 kilometers road, that was a higher quality event with Beatrice Chebet, who equaled the world lead and is now equal number 9 of all time. But she had set a better mark in 2018 when she was and she has equal 5th with that mark on the all-time list. Lilian Kazait, Ejgayu Tayo, and Medina Asa had very good marks in Riga. In the marathon, of course, fabulous world record by Tigist Asefa. Sheila Chepkirui, her 2:17:49 is the 4th best mark of the year. Magdalena Shauri also in the top 10. Then very good marks also by other athletes, Zeneba Yimer, Senbere Teferi, Dera Dida, Worknesh Edessa, and Helen Bekele. And 8 women ran under 2 hours 20 in Berlin. So that was a very good race. Now, Bizuayehu, as we near the end of the season, let's have a look at the whole year. And can you tell us what were your 3 favorite athletics moments of 2023?
Yeah, I can say those world record performances of Ethiopian athletes, good at the guys 5,000 meter world record and Diribe Welteji's mile world record performance. Also Lamecha Girma's 3,000 meter steeplechase world record performance. And if I can add one more, the last one is that's a fast marathon record. These are the top performances of the year for me.
Definitely, totally understand.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Now let's look at under 20 and under 18 athletes, as several of them also registered great performances in the past fortnight. Starting with the under 20, we have mentioned Medina Asa, who placed fourth in Riga on the 5 kilometers road race, and that is an area under 20 best. So Medina has also really had a fantastic year.
Yes, she's doing well, and I think if she keep the good performances, she will have a chance to be the next top athlete in the 5,000 meter for Ethiopia. So she was able to qualify for the World Championship this year, and she ran 2 races there. And I hope she gains some experience at the championship race, because she was doing well throughout the year at the Diamond League races. And compared to her performance on these Diamond League races at the World Championship, she finished 6th, and her results at the Diamond League were between in the top 5. So championship races are always a bit tough and challenging. So I hope she gets some experience and she will use it in her future undertakings.
Definitely. And we had spoken about another fabulous underage Ethiopian athletes, and that is 17-year-old Birke Hailom. Last show, we spoke about her exceptional 2023, where she even set an under 20 world record on the mile, winning the Diamond League race in Oslo, as well as a world under 18 best over 5,000 and another, and placing number 2 in the all-time list, under 18 all-time list over the 1500. Now, Bizuayehu, with athletes like Medina Asa, with Birke Hailom and Saron Berhe, the future looks very promising for Ethiopian women.
Yes, we can say that. And these athletes also will make the pool a bit wider for selection for upcoming international events. And it was the same thing before the Budapest World Championship. The likes of Medina and Saron are gaining some experience, and if they start delivering results, I think they will challenge the current established athletes in those distances, especially in middle and long distance, particularly in 1500 and 5000 meter. So I think it's also going to be a selection headache for Ethiopian Athletics Federation, as the pool is going to get bigger. So to choose the right athlete and the best one is going to be a challenge for the federation. In my observation from Budapest, I think this selection challenge makes Ethiopian Athletics Federation to choose accommodating athletes. And I see that putting like Friyoeni Hailu, who was a specialist in 1500 meter, to make her run in 5000 meter was, for me, it's a mistake and an opportunity missed to get another medal in the 1500 meter. So with the likes of Medina and Saron and Birke Hailom pushing, I think Ethiopian Athletics Federation will have a challenge in the selection process. And it would be good for athletics to have more competition and to have more options. So when the established athletes in these distances move forward, and I hope these athletes will take over and achieve some successes of their own.
Thank you, Bizuayehu. Definitely looking great, but big challenges for selection for the federation.
Yeah, for sure.
So among the under-18 athletes, the star of the fortnight was Thai sprinter Puripol Bunson, who at the Asian Games in Hangzhou had a really excellent week. In the heats, he ran 10:13. So he now has, in the heats, he ran 10:13. And then in the final, 10:06, which equals the world under-18 best, which Christian Miller of the USA had set in July, breaking Puripol's 10:09, which was the then world record, and which he had set at the world under-20 in Cali. And in the final, it was unfortunately the wind was over the legal mark with 2.4 meters per second. Puripol won in he placed second in 10:02 behind China's 13-year-old Xie Zhenye with 9:97. So an excellent week for Puripol Bunson, who now has 4 of the 5 best marks in the world under-18 all-time list between the Asian Games in Hangzhou and the world under-20 in Cali, with, of course, Christian Miller sharing the #1 spot. So let's look now at athletes of the year. As the year winds down, global and continental associations look back at 2023 to elect their best. European Athletics announced its 10 nominations for the male and female athletes of the year and for the rising stars, respectively on 22 and 21 September, with finalists to be announced in early October. World Athletics, on the other hand, will announce their Athletes of the Year nominees next week on 11-12 October, and the Rising Star finalists in early November. So we will look at nominations on the next show, but today we're starting our own poll. So, Bizuayehu, who are your personal Athletes of the Year?
They focus mostly on Ethiopian athletes. From Ethiopia, I can say Ethiopian top athletes of the year are, for me, Gudat Tsege and Lamecha Girma. Obviously, they set world records and they achieved medals at the World Championships. My top international athletes of the year are Faith Kipyegon and Armando Duplantis.
It's interesting that exactly for an Ethiopian to nominate Faith Kipyegon, but she's had an absolutely
she's my favorite Kenyan athlete.
She's also a really lovely person. Yes, and I think it shows I think it shows in the way when she set her world records in Florence, in Monaco, all the other athletes were crowding around her to celebrate, and that doesn't happen very often.
Yes.
So thank you, Bizuayehu. Now, I'd like to highlight some cool athletics news, and there were quite a few athletes to whom we would like to extend our congratulations. Now, do you remember Ben Blankenship and his endless mileage project? We had spoken about it on Love Athletics last December. Blankenship had created it in November 2022, planting a tree for every US athlete who breaks 4 minutes for men and 4 minutes 30 for women in the mile. A cool way to combine his passions for athletics and sustainability. Blankenship also has another project since 2020 called Recovered Running, where he collects used shoes and kit in good state to be redistributed to needy runners in the community and has collected thousands of items. Now, his projects have caught the eye of the IOC Climate Action Awards, which were created last November, and after being nominated among 4 athlete-led projects in both the innovation and the athlete advocacy categories, he was proclaimed the winner in the athlete advocacy of the award. So congratulations to Ben. Congratulations also to double Olympic and world decathlon champion Ashton Eaton. So he is still the indoor pentathlon world record holder and the former outdoor decathlon world record holder. Now, he's never one to shy away from prolonged efforts. So he completed the Portland Marathon on October 1st in 1:49:54. And after the race, Eaton tweeted, "During the race, I felt fine, but now I feel I can't move at all." Congratulations also to Devon Allen, double NCAA 110 hurdles champion, and twice in the top 5 at the Olympic Games, who has been trying to juggle track and American football for the last 2 seasons. And he at last played his first NFL regular season game with the Philadelphia Eagles on 25 September. Now, an interesting article on the NBC Sports website highlights how Allen thus became the 44th Olympic athlete to play in the NFL, of whom 35 from athletics, 9 from wrestling, and 1 each from handball, rugby, and bobsleigh. And the most successful of these athletes was 1964 Olympic 100-meter gold medalist and multiple world record breaker Bob Hayes, who went on to win the Super Bowl with the Dallas Cowboys, the first and only Olympic athlete to achieve such a feat. Now, talking about U.S. Olympic legends, there are athletes who like to try other sports or events and those who like to try something totally different, like Bob Beamon. The long jump Olympic winner in Tokyo at 77 joined jazz and hip-hop musician Styx Bones playing drums on the new Bones single called Leap, which was released on 15 September. So congratulations to legendary Bob Beamon for always finding new ways to fly. Congratulations also to double world champion Noah Lyles, who took advantage of the short off-season to model for Hugo Boss at Milan Fashion Week. Lyles posted 4 photos on his social media platforms showing him in a light blue jacket on an open-necked white shirt and a more formal look in a brown suit and black tie. And finally, congratulations to Colin Jackson, the double world champion in the high hurdles, former world record holder and always a gentleman, is supporting the crowdfunding efforts of French hurdler Dimitri Bascou, which was launched by his club, Groupe Athlétique Noisy-le-Grand, to help the 36-year-old Bascou realize his dream of qualifying for the Olympic Games in Paris next year, which is going to be tough, of course, because the level of the event in France is extremely competitive. Approached by the former high jumper heptathlon and now president of the gang club Maryse Evangépé, Colin shared a video supporting Bascou, who was the Olympic bronze medalist and European champion in 2016 and is the last French athlete to have won an Olympic medal in the hurdles since Guy Drut's 1976 gold. So after the cool news, unfortunately, we have some sad news, as several protagonists of the world of athletics have left us, and both were well-known athletics administrators. German former top athlete and long-serving official Otto Klappert passed away on 20 September, aged 88. Otto took part in the Universiade in 1959, winning bronze in the 400 meters and gold with the 4x400 meter relay. After hanging up his spikes, he became a 400 meter national coach. In 1973, he was elected sport director of the German Federation, the DLV, leading the German team at 3 Olympic Games and several World Championships and European Championships. In 1997, he was elected chairman of the IAAF Cross Country and Road Running Committee, a position he held for over 20 years. And during that time, he was a technical delegate at World Cross and Half Marathon Championships. Clapert, who was a professor of English and sport, remained involved with athletics in his hometown of Unna until his 80s, because, as he said, everything starts at the grassroots level. I will always remember Otto as a friendly, helpful technical delegate, but especially as a true gentleman. Rest in peace, Otto. 2 days later, on 22 September, Alpheus Finlayson of the Bahamas passed away aged 76, just 2 weeks after his wife Dawn and the day before she was to be laid to rest. Finlayson, who was a successful insurer by trade, was a passionate lover of athletics and an elegant and colorful figure, usually seen at competitions, sporting a hat and a yellow or light blue jacket matching the colors of the Bahamas. Finlayson was also a former athlete and coach, and between 1989 and 1997, he was president of the Bahamas Federation. And under his watch, the Bahamas won its first global medals. He was also vice president of the Central American and Caribbean Athletics Confederation and of the North America, Central America, and Caribbean Area Association. And between 1999 and 2003, he was a member of the IAAF Council. Finlayson combined his passion for the sport, interest in statistics and athletics history to become an athletics writer and historian. He was also a broadcaster, hosting his Track World with Alpheus Finlayson radio show until this year, and that show was the only such show centered exclusively on athletics in the Caribbean. And of course, for the last 2 years, Alpheus also hosted on our sister program a series of interviews with athletics greats called Alpheus Track and Field Legends, recalling some truly memorable stories. Rest in peace, Alpheus. So let's look now at upcoming events as we reach the end of our show. On 8 October, on this Sunday, Chicago Marathon. On 22 October in Amorebieta, Spain, the first of the World Cross Country Tour Gold competitions takes place. Also on 22 October, the 2 marathons of the Pan Am Games will be contested in Santiago. On 29 October, also in Spain, another leg of the World Cross Country Tour. And then from the 30th October to the 4th of November, stadium events at the Pan Am Games. And finally, on the 5th of November, New York Marathon. So still quite a lot of events to look forward to. So we're now at the end of our program, and it was great having Bizuayehu with us on the show.
Thanks for having me, Anna. It was my pleasure to be your guest.
Thank you so much. And especially thank you for getting up at such an early hour to be able to be with us before heading off to work. Really, really appreciate.
You're welcome.
So thank you, Bizuayehu. Thank you all
You're
for
welcome,
watching.
Linda.
And see you in 2 weeks on Love Athletics to look together at the highlights, comments, and analysis of what's been happening in our sport over the last 2 weeks. Thank you.
Okay. Have a good day.
Bye-bye. Have a lovely day.
Thank you.